Why did Yaakov go down to Mitzrayim? We usually would assume that Yaakov went down because there was a famine and there was no food in Eretz Canaan. But a careful examination of the Psukim reveals that there are actually conflicting motivations, and we might determine some interesting things about what motivated Yaakov and how he maintained himself in Mitzrayim from those conflicting motivations. When Yosef initially invites Yaakov, so Yosef gives a message to his brothers. He says, "Go back to my father and tell him that I'm here. Tell him that I am in Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has made me the Adon of Kol Mitzrayim, and tell him that he'll come, he'll live in Eretz Goshen, he'll be near me, and there's going to be another 5 years of famine, and I'll take care of him for those 5 years." Clearly, Yosef is talking about a long-term invitation, at least for the duration of the famine. Maybe not as long as it turned out, but at least a long term for 5 years. We find Paro, when Paro also sends a message, and Paro also assumes that Yaakov will be staying long term. Paro says, "Tell your father, Einchem al tachos al klechem, don't worry about your possessions. Ki tuv kol eretz Mitzrayim lechem hu. All the goodness of Mitzrayim is for you." So Paro is assuming they're going to stay, and the whole country is available to them. It's going to be, you don't have to bring anything with you. Everything here will be taken care of. Did Yaakov agree with Yosef and Paro? We find that both in word and deed, Yaakov disagrees and has different motivations. When Yaakov is informed that Yosef is alive, Yaakov is rejuvenated. Vayomer Yisrael, Rav od Yosef b'nichai el chaver enu b'terem amus. Given that Yosef is alive, I will go see him before I die. The Sforno learns, El chaver enu, I will go see him. Yaakov's motivation, his sole motivation, was to see his son Yosef, who he had not seen for a very long time, and after that he would come back to Eretz Yisrael. The Sforno says, El chaver enu lo sha'agur sham kidvarav. Yes, Yosef invited me to live there, but I'm not going to live there. I'm going to go and see him and go back to Eretz Yisrael. I don't want to leave Eretz Yisrael. I just want to see him. When did the plan change? Presumably in the next psukim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to Yaakov and he tells him that actually this journey will be long term. Don't worry about going down to Mitzrayim. I'll make you a great nation there. You're going to stay there for a long time. You're going to be lishtake. You're now going to, even if it's lagur ba'aretz banu, it's going to be a long-term lishtakeya. But I will stay with you, and I will go down with you, I will come back with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu informs Yaakov, contrary to his plans, that he's not going for a short trip to see his son, but rather he's going for a long term. How long term he doesn't know maybe, but it's going to be much longer than expected. Did that change his attitude? Not 100%. We see that. Let's go back to what Paro asked Yaakov. Paro said, "Don't worry about your kelim. Al tachos al klechem, ki tu kol eretz Mitzrayim lechem hu." Did Yaakov respond to that? And if so, what is the significance? When Yaakov comes down to Mitzrayim, it says, "Vayigash es miknehem ves v'chusham asher rachshu b'Eretz Canaan v'avo Mitzrayim." Yaakov v'chazar v'ito. They took all of their cattle and all their possessions that they had accumulated in Eretz Canaan, and they came down to Mitzrayim. Perhaps the significance of this pasuk is the clear dismissal of Paro's invitation. Paro said, "Don't worry about your stuff, just bring yourselves, and I'll take care of you." Yaakov might have appealed to Yaakov. We might have expected that would appeal to him, since he wanted it to be a short trip. But yet we find Yaakov, yes, now he knows it's going to be a longer trip, but he takes everything he has with him. Everything he has with him. What's the significance of that? We might recall that Paro's offer to Yaakov is actually very strange. If you remember that Yaakov Avinu is the one who went back for the Pachim Ktanim. Yaakov Avinu is the one who, every last little kli, he appreciated it. Because he appreciated that it came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that tzaddik is mamono, yichalav v'lav yosem gufo. He appreciates that everything he has is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it would be a very strange thing for Yaakov to leave behind his kelim. After everything he's done for his kelim, he dafka rejects Paro's offer. He takes everything with him. Perhaps what we see is that Yaakov Avinu, in going down to Mitzrayim, both in his initial dismissal of Yosef's offer to come long term, he says, "No, I just want to stay. I want to stay in Eretz Yisrael," and in his dismissal of Paro to leave everything behind, and to reject his former appreciation of the Kem HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us. We see that when Yaakov Avinu was thrown into very difficult circumstances, a total upheaval of the life he's known, leaving the Eretz Yisrael, leaving the place he's called home, the uprooting of his entire family at a very advanced age. While for others that may have led them to disregard all the values that had been leading their lives until that point, for Yaakov Avinu, it doesn't change him. He remains the same Yaakov he always was. He remains the Yaakov committed to staying in Eretz Yisrael, to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Eretz Yisrael. He remains the Yaakov who has appreciation for every last kli that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given him. And with all of that, he adapts to the changes as well. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, no, you're going to stay for a long time. So he goes with that. He's at the same time able to maintain his identity, maintain his values in a topsy-turvy circumstances, and at the same time is able to adapt and go with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants of him. And that certainly is a model for us throughout life. In every stage, we have to have a combination of adapting to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects of us, to look at the new situation and say, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from me in this situation? How is this new? And what do I have to jettison that maybe was dearly held by me? And at the same time, to maintain the values, that even in the new situation, to not leave behind the essentials, but to take the essentials and apply them anew. Be'ez Hashem, we all have to try to follow the model of Yaakov Avinu to at the same time adapt and maintain continuity with our values. Have a good Shabbos.